Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's amazing that you could literally change your life, open up blocks, stop you from, let's say, if you're smoking or have some addictions or have stress or anxiety, you can stop all of that in 45 minutes. Possible with hypnotherapy. And she knows all about it. She's a certified clinical hypnotherapist. Becky Waters is back on the program with us. Becky, how you doing?
I'm great, Steve. Thanks.
It's good to have you here. And I'm happy that we're going to dispel some of the myths, some of the rumors that surround hypnotherapy, because I really think that that's holding people back from doing it and changing their lives, right?
Right. Yeah. There's all kind of myths and misperceptions.
Yeah. And here's one of them. Let me do one. Here we go. You're getting sleepy. You're getting sleepy. How many times have you seen that on TV? It could be a sitcom, could be a cartoon, whatever, and think that, somebody can put you out and then you're zonked, right, and you're under their full control. Myth or fact?
Definitely myth. And we don't use the watch anymore. It's so passe.
I know, I just did that for effect. Was it ever used at any point? Was that a thing?
Probably Freud used it in the very beginning, or early on when they were working with patients. And it probably most likely developed in the after Mesmer did his theatrics in the 1800s, and people, even though he was debunked by the medical society, then the vaudeville and all of that kind of took over, and it makes great show, great TV, but you just can't be made to do something that you don't want to do.
Right. And it was all an act. Come on. Believe it. It was the person that was hypnotized. They were just playing. It wasn't real. If somebody is genuinely hypnotized, let's say you work with somebody, they're in full control, right? They can, and at any time they can just go, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't know why you want. Yeah.
Yeah. All hypnosis is really self-hypnosis, because you have to want to be hypnotized. And nobody can make you do anything that you don't want to do. If generally you've got your eyes closed, you're very relaxed, when the hypnotherapist is talking to you, and you're just following along the suggestions, the visuals. And if they go, and then I want you to go rob a bank and bring me all the money, you're just going to go, what? And just, open your eyes and walk out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of any reason why you would want to start a hypnotherapy session, except for maybe, and correct me if there's other reasons. Let's say you go back to a certain time in your past or a certain situation, trauma, whatever it might be. And it's kind of emotional. And maybe at that moment, maybe you can't deal with it. It may be the very thing that's holding you back, but you're just saying, you know what? I'm not ready for it now.
Yeah. People come to me with, life as they know it is not working. And many times, well, generally it's because the conscious mind wants something, but the subconscious mind wants something else, because we live the life that our subconscious mind believes in. And, it's 98% of our mind power. And if the subconscious mind has a belief in there that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'll never be a success, or this or that, whatever our personal lie is, the subconscious mind is always going to win, because we will attract things or make decisions based on that internal programming. And so then when the conscious mind wants something else, you can talk to the cows come home. It's not going to change it. I mean, it may over, decades, but hypnosis, we can get in there to the subconscious mind, put the conscious mind on the back burner, and just get in there and begin to drop in positive suggestions. How do you want to be? What will it feel like, look like, taste like, smell like?
Would you say that you normally, when somebody comes to you to be hypnotized or work on a situation, are you able to find the problem or what the block is? Let's say somebody doesn't know. They come to you and they're trying to achieve something and it's not working for them, but apparently there's a reason for it. Do you find it? Do you uncover it?
Yes. And it's not a one-hit wonder. It rarely, that one time I do it is very rare. It generally takes time because you have to build rapport, you have to feel comfortable with each other,
Hmm.
be able to open up. Um, and, we're changing habits. And so the subconscious mind is about keeping things the same. So there's natural resistance that comes up. And so we have ways of, through different tools, really, and hypnosis is one of those tools. Just, you know, it's hypnosis and therapy, you
Hmm.
know, working on those issues, whatever's coming up. But a lot of times I find that people who come, they suspect,
Hmm.
or some of them will actually say it's this or that, and they have this belief. And so that's always fun when they come because you know exactly what to work on.
Well, I guess it makes your life easier if somebody is doing that because they're coming to you and they're kind of pointing where they want to go. I think I
Right.
shared with you when I was hypnotized about 6 months ago or so. I knew I wanted to go back to my childhood. I knew
Mhm.
there was things there that make me what I am today, and it worked. I confronted those. It was really super interesting. I mean, I saw myself as a child, like I'm looking at myself across my eyes are closed. It was virtual, but I saw
Mhm.
myself when I was,
Yeah.
at that age, call it, 5 or whatever. But I knew where I wanted to go right away. I was like, this is where we're going. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Here's the keys to the
Yeah.
car. You drive, and that's it. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to make things easier for you, but I'm
Yeah.
sure once you start digging in, maybe it'll take a few more sessions if somebody doesn't know where they want to go, but you eventually, have you ever had a time where you can't find the problem?
Um, Only when they stop coming before they're
Uh,
really gotten to the nitty-gritty of it.
hmm. And do you feel that you're getting close to it and then either they bail because maybe it's a little too emotional or what?
Well, it's uncomfortable creating change because
Sure.
when we're comfortable, we're in our comfort zone, which is keeping things the same. And so that resistance comes up. Then I have some people sometimes who are so much in their heads and not willing to really go into the feeling part. I
Mm,
even had one client one time who, you talk about that mind chatter that goes through your mind, you know, um, it will literally tell you what those limiting beliefs are if you listen to it. And he was determined he didn't have that mind chatter. It's like, okay.
mm. Now, when you say the mind chatter, is that as you go about your day or during a session?
No, just as you go about your day, there's this narrative that continually plays, kind of really narrating what you're doing, and usually it's negative. I mean, I've never heard anybody talk about, oh, and telling what a good job.
Hmm.
It's usually, oh, that was stupid, or oh gosh, all these negative things that chatter that comes around, and most of it's unconscious, just below the consciousness. But some of it, if you can be aware of it. And so the first step to any kind of change is really awareness.
I'm trying to think of hearing the chatter in my head.
Mhm.
I hear voices. No. Uh,
That's a whole nother issue.
yeah, yeah.
Out of my scope.
Yeah, it's it's above our pay grade. But I even think of doing some tasks during the day. I got to take care of this, get take care of that. And why do you put things off? Because you're probably afraid that you're going to mess them up. I got to take care of this one thing. I got to send this email. I'll work on this. You don't want to confront
Mhm.
it because there's a block. If you listen to the chatter in your head, it's probably telling you, yeah, I don't want to send that email because I'm not really sure what to say. And I don't know what the repercussions are going to be. So I'm going to put it off. Don't do it. Don't do it now. It,
Exactly.
hmm.
Yes.
How do you hear the chatter? Is it you block out all the other stuff so that it does seem louder in your head?
Good question. You, you know, like I said, any change is building that awareness. And so when you get triggered, it's a time to stop and think, okay, what was I just thinking about? Did something happen that reminded me of something? What was the thought? What was the emotion? And just kind of literally like what I call microscoping in, slowing things down to become more aware. And a lot of this is about intention. If we had this intention, okay, I'm going to be more aware, I'm going to start noticing, and make that kind of important, then we begin to notice it. And again, that's a habit versus not noticing it is a habit.
Oh, okay. Didn't think of it that way. Yeah. You're conditioned not to notice it.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to get, it's cliche. You got to get in the habit of doing that. You got to get into the habit of hearing what your mind or your subconscious is actually saying to you.
Right. And left to his own devices, because that subconscious part is about keeping us safe. So it's naturally it's in our DNA to be careful, notice what's around us, because that part of our mind still thinks it's 10,000 years ago when there were savage natives and wild animals all over. And so it's because we're alive today, that worked for our ancestors, and they were very good at noticing the landscape, watching for nuances, noticing patterns. And so left to its own devices, it's going to look for the negative.
It's my understanding too that the subconscious wants to please you. So it's listening for cues during your day. And if you say things like, I'll never make money. I can't pay my bills. It's going to hear not make money, can't pay my bills, and it's going to do things or direct you to do things so that you can't pay your bills or make money.
Right, exactly. Because whatever we say to the subconscious mind, it goes, okay. And when we do it over and over and over, it's about, we're giving that a lot of energy. And it sees, oh gosh, you're giving a lot of energy to that worry about money thing and all that. And so they're like, well, we better do more than that. So it, the law of attraction is really that reticular activating system in the brain that filters out everything except what we say is important, what we spend a lot of time and energy on. And so it just brings us more of that.
And it goes back to habit.
The
law of attraction, getting into the habit of doing that. And I think a lot of us we're impatient. Even if you learn and I call it the Amazon effect, where one click done.
Yeah.
Showing up at your door. And now it's in 3 hours. I got something the other day in 4 hours, paid $2.99.
Oh, wow.
For it. Oh yeah. I needed a charger cord for a cell phone and $2.99 extra. And the thing cost maybe $12 and it was right at the door. But we're in the habit of getting it done or receiving it right away. So even if you get in the habit of the, positive mindset and positive affirmations, law of attraction, you might be doing it habitually, but nothing has happened. And then you're like, whatever. And then you give up, because it's the universe's plan as to when it's going to show up, whatever it is.
Oh, and if it's got to be 51% more positive than negative.
I've heard that.
It's about the energy, the repetition, because we learn through association and repetition.
Never thought of it that way. So yeah, that is pretty powerful when you think that you got to move the needle past the 50% point, or you're not going to get the results that you want and achieve your goals. Have you ever had a time, Becky, where you hypnotize somebody and they fell asleep?
Yeah, that's resistance.
That's just I just got you said that I got a visual of that shutdown.
Yeah.
Instead of them saying, no, I don't want to be hypnotized, or no, I'm not feeling comfortable with this, or then they just fall asleep.
Yeah, I had one client early on who would just fall asleep just about every time. He was also one that really didn't want to talk about emotions, or it was his wife, was the problem, and
He was very closed.
yeah.
Hmm, interesting. What what is the biggest now? It's a big thing when with hypnotherapy, you stop somebody from smoking, um, break anxiety patterns and stress and things like that. What for you in your recent memory was the most profound change you made with somebody? You got a story back. It's like, bam, wow, this is like the complete game change.
This woman I'm still working with, um, we've been working together at least over a year, and everybody, like I said, has their way of looking at life, and so we've been working on that, and um, over the course of the time, and she was wanting a better work situation and going into a certain field, and was frustrated that she wasn't getting the offers um,
Hmm.
of what she using her skills the way she wanted to use them. And we've kept working and kept working on those beliefs and letting go of the old ways. And this week she got that job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. And what do you think it was? What was holding her back? Belief that she can't succeed or do the job?
Well, it was really about getting what we truly desire is about letting go of everything in the way, whether they're beliefs, other people, relationships in our lives, old ways of thinking, just restructuring our thought systems, understanding, you know, where they came from, that childhood, so many times, we have a negative emotion. Um, it's that younger version of us that didn't get what it wanted, didn't have any understanding. Um, and it's that one causing the upset, because it's literally pushed that button for that time in our life that we didn't understand, and we made a decision about ourselves. And so it's learning to reparent ourselves, really, about
Hmm.
that.
I haven't heard that term in a long time, and I love it. It really is. It says it all. And when you say our younger selves, I'm going to assume that you're talking about when somebody's been between the ages of, let's say, 0 and 7, when we heard something, we experienced something, and that's the beginning of the block.
Right. Well, it's often in that place, but then it can be even later.
Hmm.
Uh, those younger versions is often the reason for the upset.
So something came clear to me in what you just said, Becky. So let's say you had you experienced something when you were 5. Okay, so you're 5 here. Later in life, you experience a trauma, but you kind of brought it on yourself because of the 5-year-old situation, whatever it is. Somebody said something, a parent left, or whatever it might be. And now you're over here and you could be, 40, and something happened based on this. So now you have, it's almost like a double trauma, double trigger that you have to, and now you're moving forward trying to figure out why your life is not where you want it to be, let's say in relationships or whatever. So now it's almost like the domino effect where it's just, it just keeps going.
Right. And so at that 5-year-old, that's really before you even understand that there's no Santa Claus. So you just take everything in. That's
That's
true.
it. You believe everything. Sure.
You believe everything, and you made a decision at that point with no knowledge about life, no understanding, but you made a decision about yourself and your value to the world. And that became stuck there in that subconscious mind as part of the what makes our rules for life, what that filter system. And so with that filter system, say I'm not good enough. Um, you always you're always right. Whatever you believe, you're always right. And so you have multiple experiences of that. It's like, we'll see there. And it just kind of builds. And so by the time you're 40, you've got a whole slew of different experiences of life confirming, see, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
but then all of this is subconscious, so you don't really consciously aware of it, because if it was in our conscious control, we would like, "Oh, change that."
Sure. Yeah.
But
Wow. And so you just keep going on through life. Yeah. No wonder it didn't work out. Of course
yeah,
but you really derailed yourself and didn't even realize what you were doing at that point.
right. And it's nobody's fault. It's just kind of how life is. It's just kind of how the brain works. It, I explain it to my clients that, you have these misperceptions, I call them, because we don't know any better, and it's nobody's fault.
Sure.
It just is. And the brain is about keeping us safe, that subconscious mind. So it puts it on the back burner until we can better understand it. And so the way life works, we grow up, life highlights one of those things on the shelf, but then we're trained to look around outside of ourselves and blame it on this person or this situation. But if everybody understood, we would go, okay, I'm feeling this not enough feeling. Where have I felt that before? And look at the patterns. And really, as we witness that emotion from that younger version, and then give ourselves, really just change that belief and give ourselves whatever it is we needed at that point in our life.
Really is a shame. The mind is so amazing in terms of what it can do, but it does that, right?
It just is.
It is what it is, but and the majority of the population doesn't realize that they are programmed to believe something or not to believe something,
Yeah.
and we just carry it through life. And dare I say, we're all screwed up. We're all screwed up because of it.
Well, we all have our stuff.
For sure, for sure. But even as parents, we parent our kids a lot of times the way we were parented.
Exactly.
And before that, and before that. And then you don't realize what you're doing. If I could go back and minor things that I should have done or should have rephrased things or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
armed with this knowledge now that I have, would have been different, would have been totally different.
Yeah. But we're all doing the best we can with what we have
With
where
what
we
we
are.
have, which is what we got.
Yeah.
we, we got it from our parents and
Yeah.
they didn't know any better. So it came from their parents and onward. So if somebody reaches out to you, obviously you can do it virtually,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And just like we're talking right now, and this is how, I did a session where I just closed my eyes and, ready to go. And I just sit there and listen. And you literally don't have to do anything. Just sit. I take that back. You have to want to make the change.
Right.
That's
It
it.
helps tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah. It can't be done, right? Unless you really want it. Like if somebody's spouse says, I'm going to sign you up for hypnosis to stop you from smoking. Go in there, show up and talk to that lady over there, that Becky lady.
Yeah.
You don't want it. It's not going to work, right?
No. No. I've had those people come. It's like, it's not going to work.
You know it right away.
Pretty much you can tell by what they say.
Mm,
We have a consultation over the phone or by Zoom. And so over the years, I've gotten better at asking the right questions to
right.
filter it out. Mhm.
Well, I would imagine when you get to that point where you're actually doing your thing, if it takes too long to hypnotize somebody, either they're uncomfortable because they're afraid of what could possibly happen, nothing except good stuff, um, or they don't want the change. They've been, put up to it, or they just
Yeah.
genuinely don't want to make that change.
Mhm.
So the website, it's centerforinnerwellness.com,
Yes. Mhm.
and inner is INNER wellness.com, centerforinnerwellness.com. So free consult, does it start that way?
Yes. That's always have a consultation, and then if we both agree, we set the appointment and go from there.
And when you go from there, just final question here. If when you go from there, can you start with the thought that maybe it could happen in one session? I've heard, sometimes it can with somebody.
Yeah. Generally, people will ask, well, how long is this going to take? And, I just say, we're changing habits. And it takes generally 3 to 4 sessions of anything just to get that momentum going. So I encourage them to, commit to 4, 6 to 8 sessions just to get started, get that momentum going, and when you're done.
Really good point you bring up, because if it takes longer to get hypnotized in the beginning, let's say session 1 or 2, by the time you get to 4, it's probably so much easier because now you're comfortable with it. You're in your zone.
Right.
I know where I want to go. You know where you want to go, and you just start the work immediately.
Right. And that hypnosis, it's accumulative. So each time the body gets used to going into that very relaxed state.
It's almost like you're in the dating stage in the beginning. You gotta get past that. Right. Becky, great having you here, and just a very honest talk about hypnotherapy. And what I love about what you do is you make it so clear. It's concise. It's very relatable. You're the one. Centerforinnerwellness.com. Appreciate it, and looking forward next time we get together.
Thank you, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.